Logan, Hugh Jackman's last outing as Wolverine. Drawing a small amount of inspiration from a large number of comic books, Logan is a mostly original story. It's based loosely on a number of stories that it would be a spoiler to name. Unlike most adventure films, which ask the question, will the hero succeed? Logan instead asks the question, is Logan really a hero at all? The film was written by Scott Frank, James Mangold, and Michael Green. It was directed by James Mangold. Stars Hugh Jackman as Logan, Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier, and Daphne Keane as Laura, the character who in the comic books is the current Wolverine, previously known as X-23. Um, the film relies on character without skimping on action. It reimagines X-23 while staying kind of true to the source material. Um, Ultimately, the film is about relationships. It's about the relationship between Xavier to Logan, the relationship of Logan to Laura. It's essentially the relationship of being a surrogate parent to a superhero. That's what the film is ultimately about. Um, Act one is relatively slow paced as it sets the stage and the tone of the film. Not without its action sequences, and the action sequences are violent and gory, which is a setup for how the film is going to go. This is a nasty, brutal, violent film, and it is best for you to get used to that early. It is also an action drama, and there's a lot emotionally at stake, and it's also a good idea to get used to that as early as you possibly can. Act two is slow but steady. As the stakes of the film are really set, you learn what the villains are actually plotting and why anyone should care. Um, and Act Three is much faster paced, as it resolves enough of the issues in the film so that you have closure, but not enough so that sequels are impossible. This is really a back end heavy film in terms of action. And my God, if you haven't gotten used to the gore and violence by now, you are going to be destroyed by what happens next. Um, the upside, well, there's tons of violent action to match the character's reputation. It's a satisfying, if bleak, drama. There are some excellent performances from the entire cast throughout the film, and it is an excellent final note to Hugh Jackman's 17-year career as Wolverine. The downside, the story is slightly too bleak for my tastes. It makes some of the scenes predictable because, quite frankly, when writers, especially American writers, go for bleakness, most of the choices they make are, if there's a character that's enjoyable, kill him. And when it becomes predictable that everybody's going to die, it takes the suspense out of the fact that people are dying. Um, and so the story's a little bit too bleak. And the biggest threat and the most interesting threat and the actual mastermind of the plot are three different people. So, there's one guy who's the most dangerous guy, one guy who's the most interesting guy, and one guy who's the mastermind. And they're usually not on screen at the same time. So it kind of diffuses the villain. And, superhero movies are criticized very often for having weak villains. And this is a case where they should have made the three different guys one person, and that would have been much more interesting, although said character has no existence in the comic books whatsoever. So it would have been, I don't know, they would have been making up their own villain to do it, but they should have done that because, my God, it was kind of two of the villains were uninteresting. And while one was interesting in the fight scenes, he only has fight scenes and no dialogue. So the conclusion. Ultimately, it's a bleak story, but it's satisfying. The three villain problem seems minor in this big sea of violence that really doesn't let you stop to take a breath long enough to think about that until well after the film is over. Ultimately, 4 and 3/4 stars for this film. I really, really loved Logan. So, as always, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you really like the video, hit the subscribe button. And if you really, really like this video, share it with your friends. I'm Edbo. Peace.